welcome to Armor 1. Today I want to talk about indirect prompt injection, more specifically, the grandparent attack. Here's how a hidden instruction in a README or web page can override what the user actually asked the assistant to do. This is an indirect prompt injection attack. Instead of attacking the assistant directly, the attacker hides instructions inside content the assistant is likely to read, like a web page, document, or GitHub README. The assistant processes that hidden content as part of its workflow, and those buried instructions can end up overriding the user's intent. This became especially concerning when researchers showed that simply viewing a malicious repository could influence the assistant into leaking private data. The dangerous part is that the user may think the assistant is just reading context, while the hidden instruction is actually steering it towards unsafe action or exfiltration. This is where Armor 1 could have made a real difference, by limiting how much untrusted content can influence behavior, requiring approval before sensitive actions happen, and reducing the paths that let hidden instructions turn into real execution. So the first metric I want to talk about is context security enforcement. If we scroll down, we can find it right here. And this matters because the whole attack depends on untrusted content being treated like valid instruction context. The next thing I want to talk about is workspace trust boundaries up here. If an untrusted repository or folder is allowed to influence the assistant too broadly, hidden instructions become much more dangerous. Lastly, I want to go over tool approval requirement. If the assistant has to pause for approval before taking sensitive actions, it becomes much harder for hidden prompt injection to turn into silent execution or data leakage. So let's go over some remediation steps for one of the risk metrics. We're going to look at context security enforcement. So you'll open it up and you'll see the information pertaining to the risk, you'll see the impact, and you'll see that remediation steps are available on a per user basis. So we're going to go to Nova. Once we're here, we'll see the same thing, and we'll also see remediation steps. This is through the settings file. So you open the Gemini CLI settings file, you find or create the context object, configure the file filtering to respect ignore rules, and then save the file. If you want to do it through the Gemini ignore file, you create or open the Gemini ignore file, add these patterns for secrets and sensitive files, and then save the file. These remediations are also available for all the other risk metrics. So instead of letting a hidden instruction inside a README quietly steer the assistant into unsafe behavior, Armor 1 helps teams contain untrusted context, limit trust, and gate the actions that make this attack succeed.